Hey noobs, Mr. Frog here. Sometimes when looking for a good H game, you may want something simple and lighthearted to play. Other times though, you may be looking for something a bit more gripping to pull you in. Well, if you fall into the latter category, then you will likely enjoy today's video, as today we will be taking a look at Klaroro, Abyss of the Soul, a new action side-scroller game developed by Klaroro and published by Mango Party. The simplest way to describe Klaroro is that it is essentially a boss rush game with minimal story. It is a streamlined game in the strongest sense, in that it focuses solely on the boss fights and combat without any exploration or adventure elements. Right away, as soon as you look at the game, you will likely notice a strong Souls influence, and you definitely wouldn't be wrong with that assumption, as the game takes both visual and gameplay influence from the Souls series with its tough boss battles, limited healing, and dark fantasy aesthetic. On a deeper level though, the game also feels like it has a strong Mega Man-like influence with its action side-scroller combat that largely revolves around dodging rhythmic attack patterns and exploiting damage windows with a ranged weapon. As previously mentioned, the game unfortunately has no exploration elements or stage levels similar to the ones in Mega Man and Dark Souls. There is only a central hub area with a single NPC that you can talk to either save your game, view H scenes, and challenge any of the bosses. Once a boss is selected, you immediately begin the fight. The controls are minimalistic and simple as well, only requiring the use of the arrow keys to move, a jump button, a dodge roll button, and an attack button. The game unfortunately does require both hands to play, which does rule it out from qualifying as being fully one-hand playable, but even if it was, the combat is intense enough that you probably wouldn't have much time to sneak in anyway. Another downside to the controls is that the game unfortunately lacks controller support as well, which for a game like this would have been a bit more comfortable to play. Regardless though, it isn't too bad due to the game's simplistic nature. All skills and tools are given to you right away with no progression system or additional abilities to unlock. All you need to do here is dodge all the attacks and simply shoot away at the boss to build up their stun gauge. Once stunned, you must then run up to the boss and begin to hypnotize them by rapidly pressing the left and right keys. As you do this, you will not only reduce their health, but also be able to view an H scene, which we will discuss further in the video. Most bosses will have multiple phases where they gradually begin to use increasingly more and more difficult to avoid attacks. Each boss will also have their own unique movesets with a lot of variety and strategies required to beat them. Some bosses will focus on aggressive fast-paced attacks that require a lot of dodging, while others may focus on ranged abilities that require some platforming to avoid. Each boss battle is fun and challenging in its own way, and I did have a great time defeating each of them. In true Souls-like fashion, the fights can be challenging, but for players with experience playing these types of games, they really shouldn't take more than a few tries at most to defeat. There is no easy mode or quick unlock options here though, so if you are less experienced with more challenging games, or simply want a more relaxed experience, do be warned. While I did enjoy the combat controls and boss design, I do feel like some sort of stage exploration before the boss fight similar to what Mega Man has would have greatly enhanced the game experience. Combining that with the lack of story or lore, and the game's very short runtime, taking only an hour or two at most to fully complete, the game ultimately unfortunately feels like a proof of concept for a much larger vision. It feels like the developers may have had a greater vision for the game at one point, but due to certain reasons were not able to fully realize it. I do think that the foundation that the game has built up here though is extremely solid with a very satisfying combat and beautiful pixel artwork. Even better is the artwork for the real content of this game, the H content. The H scenes in Klaroro are entirely shown during the hypnosis portion of the boss fight while the boss is stunned. Each phase of the battle will play a different looping animation that plays as you mash left and right on your keyboard to reduce their health. The scene will progress further after each successful phase, with a final scene shown once the boss has been defeated. There's a lot of variety in H themes within the game, with each boss focusing on different elements. The scenes are pretty straightforward, but with its fantastic pixel artwork and stellar character designs, it does make them shine. It can be a bit difficult to fully enjoy the scenes mid-combat, as the fights can be rather fast-paced and intense, but after finishing the game, you can easily and relaxingly enjoy the scenes more casually by talking to the NPC in the main hub area. Overall, for fans of challenging boss battles or boss rush style games, you will likely enjoy the experience here as long as you set your expectations accordingly. It really is a great game to play over a quick afternoon, but it does honestly lack in depth or replay value to make you want to keep coming back to it. It is a pretty cheap game on Steam though, so I think even for its short runtime, it is worth a play if you're interested, especially if you can catch it on a sale. With that being said, Mr. Frog awards this game a decent Mr. Frog sip. Have you played this game? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you'd like to see more H-game content, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to check out the Mr. Frog stream over on Twitch. Later, noobs.